Let's get into our sports conversation for today, and it's one that involves a court battle that's been ongoing since December of last year, as the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture was taken to court by the National Professional Boxing Promoters Association. This to interdict the appointment of a brand new CEO and board. Of course, that was taken to court, and on the losing end was the minister, which meant that the board had to be dissolved. In the latest developments this week, though, it is found that the court has reinstated, or rather confirmed, this appointment to have been correct, despite the appeal that was brought by the NPBPA. And of course, I'm joined now by that accounting officer, who is Mandla Ntlanganiso, right here in studio. Mandla, thank you so much for making time for us here on the AM report. And it has been quite a long, ongoing battle since December of last year. Must be quite a bit of a relief then to see how things have unfolded this week.
Good morning, Andee, and good morning to the newsroom viewers. Indeed, the court ruling, it was a huge relief, not only for me, but also for the entire boxing fraternity. If you could have seen the jubilation and joy that was shown, across the country when the ruling was out, it clearly showed that a lot of people are happy with what the court have decided, because now it has granted some relief, from the whole confusion that was deliberately created. We are saying now we're moving forward with boxing, and everything that has to be done when it comes to boxing, nothing will stop it. It is only now that we'll make sure that everything, goes accordingly. Because this whole issue of this outstanding court, it was really making, our work not to be done in a proper way. When we engage stakeholders, they always ask the same question, about this instability. But now I believe that, it's a matter that is behind us. We are looking forward to build the sport of boxing in the country.
Yeah, and you're speaking about this perhaps being something that was deliberately created. If you're looking at the reasons that have been advanced for the opposition to the appointment of yourself as the CEO and even as the accounting authority, what would you say those reasons are? And perhaps in your assessment then, what would the reason be for the opposition to you taking the office?
You see, for me, from where I'm sitting, being the COO of boxing, currently the acting CEO accounting authority, I know that there is something beyond the whole consultation in the court case. That is just a smoke screen. But when the time is right, we will be able to explain it clearly to the public. Because we've got information internally that, it's not about consultation, it's about other things. But we will let the legal gurus and the legal minds deal with that, as they have dealt with this particular case, to show that even the people that are challenging us, they don't have a local standing. They are not complying with the same act that they are, challenging the minister not to comply on. But for us, we are talking boxing, we're talking progress, we're talking programs of boxing. We'll allow the minister to deal with all the legal cases that are there.
Of course, you're referring to the opposition then brought in terms of Section 12 of the Boxing Act, which had wanted a consultation to take place between the Minister of Finance, Minister of Sport, in appointing of the CEO. But this is now temporary relief. You're speaking about the jubilation, the celebration, but there has been an appeal lodged by the NPBPA, which suggests that this is not yet over then, because they're saying this was not decided on the merits of the case, but rather the lack of locus standi, which is what you're referring to, that they didn't have proper standing bringing the matter before the court because they did not submit their annual financial statement. So this is not about the merits of the case or saying that the appointment was correct, but rather that they don't have standing in the matter.
Andee, we are in a democratic country, and the legal processes are there for everyone to exploit. So if they decide to go and appeal, it is within their right, But again, we will meet in court, and we're gonna deal with the matter in court.
And in the interim, then, what does this do to the status of boxing in the country when you have, the acting CEO, who is now the accounting officer, who repeatedly has to go to court, and the minister as well, who's embroiled in this saga? What does this do for the confidence in the sport and, the general demeanor and morale within those involved in boxing in the country?
My posture, Andee, currently is to look at positivity. Since I've been given this role, you've seen that there is boxing happening in the country. Within this period, we managed to approve authorization where we got a world champion in the name of Sivenati Nonchinga, IPF champion, where we got another champion in the name of Jackson Chauke, where we got another world champion in the name of Ricardo Malajika, and many other national champions and tournaments that have happened during this period. We are saying that we won't be deterred. We are clear in terms of the program, and I believe the boxing stakeholders are clear. I've been engaging boxing stakeholders in the past 3 weeks, meeting with trainers and managers, meeting with boxers, meeting with ring officials. I've not yet met with the promoters. That's the last group I will be meeting, you know. And all the stakeholders are very clear in terms of what needs to be done. Our focus is on building the sport of boxing. Our focus is to make sure that we rekindle the glory days of boxing, wherein we produced world champions, wherein we produced credible national champions. That's the path that we are taking. On Friday, the 26th, this coming Friday, we're having an inaugural boxing symposium. We've called in the corporate sector. We've called in government departments. We will be engaging on how to reposition and repackage boxing. That's where our energy is, you know, and I believe that, you know, it will be a good program. And there is positivity, you know, in terms of response coming from the corporate sector. So that's where our energy is, to make sure that the sport of boxing thrives. Remember, Andee, there are boys and girls who are dependent on the sport of boxing for their livelihood. So if we're saying that there should be no boxing in the country, it tells us what kind of people are we when we're pushing with all these interdicts to saying that there must be a stalemate, there must be a lacuna. But as progressive South Africans, all we want to see is to see a thriving boxing wherein our boxers can put money on the table, can put bread on the table, and can be athletes, you know, and put South Africa to where it belongs. Yeah, that's where our energy is currently. A
number of appointments in recent times with the chair of the ratings committee, Andre de Vries, sanctioning committee as well, to be headed by Irvin Buhlalu. And there's been a bone of contention, in particular, though, with the sanctioning of fights. So what is the status now with you as the accounting authority with the sanctioning of fights? Are you still able to do that in your capacity? And with this change then, should the appeal be upheld from the Boxing Promoters Association?
Andee, at this particular stage, I did appoint a sanctioning committee that has the responsibility to sanction boxing tournaments and to approve boxers fighting from abroad. And they are doing their job, and it's a good team that I believe that is going to bring stability when it comes to the issue of sanctioning. So work is continuing day to day. Applications are coming through. There is excitement. So the issue of legal, we will deal with it when it comes. But currently everything is going smooth. There are no issues. It's just a small bunch, a very, very tiny bunch of promoters. Because we must not say promoters. It's a tiny bunch of promoters that is really dealing with this, you know, and let them be. And I believe they've been exposed, you know, in terms of what their agenda is currently.
So let's close off then with one about your future. The 15th of May is the date that the Minister of Sport has announced as the date that the new board is going to be announced. You left under somewhat acrimonious circumstances, having been suspended from the previous board in August of last year. Still no reasons are given to that, still no hearing. So what is the status then with you in terms of perhaps assuming that CEO role should the new board be announced on the 15th of May?
Well, that one is dependent on the powers that be. I am in a substantive role as a chief operating officer. That one is, you know, there are no issues there. Then in terms of the board coming in, then it's up to them to decide in terms of who will be the acting CEO interimly. It's up to the new board that will be announced after the 15th of May. So with me, I'm just going to deliver the service, make sure that we build the sport of boxing to thrive, make sure that we produce South African champions, world champions, and to make sure that the sport of boxing go back to its glory days. That's where my energy is, that's where my focus is.
So should your name come up, then you're not going to want to revisit the reasons why you were previously taken off the board? You would just want to continue on a new slate?
Look, Andee, on that one, whilst they were still within the time frame of calling me for a DC, they failed. I wrote to them several times, guys, come, let's sit, because I want to challenge this. Because there were no allegations from the word go. It was just, you know, a fabrication of allegations. Hence, they couldn't come to charge me. And I believe that I was vindicated, you know, because they failed dismally, you know. Labor Relations Act is saying that within 60 days, you must be able to charge. You know, they failed to even issue a charge sheet.
All right, well, let's leave it there. We are out of time. It's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. Of course, that announcement expected on the 15th of May.